In this video, we're going to review the parts of the heart. The heart is made up of 4 chambers. We have 2 upper chambers that are called the atria. Here we have the right atria and the left atrium, and then the 2 lower chambers are called the ventricles, the right ventricle and the left ventricle. Now I want to make sure that you keep in mind that when you're looking at the heart, your right is the heart's left and vice versa. So don't get confused by the fact that when you're looking at this video, what's on your right side is actually the left side of the heart. If you look at the wall of the atria compared to the wall of the ventricle, you can see that it's not as well developed. And the reason is because the atria are just receiving zones for the blood. The ventricles actually have to pump blood out of the heart. There are valves that are between the atria and the ventricles that keep the blood flowing in the right direction. On the right side, we have the tricuspid valve. On the left side, we have the bicuspid or the mitral valve. So we're going to review now for just a minute the pathway of blood through the heart. And we'll begin on the right side. Blood comes into the right atrium by way of the vena cava. This is the superior vena cava, the inferior is here, and the blood is dumped into the right atrium. Then it flows through the tricuspid valve and goes into the right ventricle. The blood then is pumped from the right ventricle through this pulmonary semilunar valve into the pulmonary trunk and then to the pulmonary artery, which will carry the blood to the lungs, where it will pick up oxygen and give up its CO2. Blood returns to the left side of the heart by way of the pulmonary veins, which you can see here. There are 4 pulmonary veins, 2 on each side, and they will dump here into the left atrium. Then the blood goes through the bicuspid or the mitral valve into the left ventricle. And then I'm going to turn the model just a little bit so that you can see the other semilunar valve, which is right here. That is the aortic semilunar valve, and the blood will go through that and then go into the aorta. The aorta happens to be the largest artery in the body, and it will carry blood throughout the body. You'll have vessels branching off of the aorta. It comes up here as the ascending aorta, then you have the arch, and then it turns and becomes the descending aorta, and above the diaphragm it's known as the thoracic aorta, and then it becomes the abdominal aorta below the diaphragm. If you look at the wall of the left ventricle compared to that of the right, you'll notice that it is much thicker on the left side than it is on the right. And the reason is because the left ventricle has to pump the blood throughout the body, through the aorta, and the right side just has to pump the blood to the lungs where it picks up oxygen. One other thing I'd like to point out on the model is that if you look at the vessels, the vena cava and the pulmonary artery that are purple, we show them as purple on the models because they are carrying blood that is deoxygenated. If you notice the pulmonary veins and you notice the aorta, it is red, and that's showing that the blood that is carried in these vessels is oxygenated.